Wonderful. So welcome to the session. Let's get started. Can we go to the next slide, please? So hello, everyone. My name is Alpana Sharma, and I'm an export business advisor at Women's Enterprise Center. I join you today from the unceded traditional territories, including Semiahmoo, Ketsi, and Coeur d'Alene First Nations. I invite you to write in the chat on whose traditional territories are you joining us from today. And I am also going to post a link here so that you can take a look at this. Just a second. And I hope you can all see this link. Wonderful. So, thank you so much for joining us today. If there is a topic you would like to consider for a future webinar, do let us know in our follow-up survey and share your ideas. So I know you all must have attended so many webinars till now, so you are already familiar with this. But if you have any questions, do communicate with us. You can use the Q&A or chat features, and we will be monitoring it today. So about Women's Enterprise Center, Women's Enterprise Center is a nonprofit organization devoted to helping BC women start, lead, and grow their own business. Our full range of services includes business loans up to $150,000 with access to an additional $100,000 through a new partnership with BDC. We also provide business advice, skills training, mentoring, resources, and a very supportive community to help women entrepreneurs realize their business potential. And how do we do that? We do that from our 3 offices located in Kelowna, Vancouver, and Victoria. And our passion is to empower women entrepreneurs to their business success. And we are funded by the federal government through Western Economic Diversification. And we are a part of the Women's Enterprise Initiative, which includes similar organizations in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And you can learn more about it on our website, womensenterprise.ca. And there is also, I also would like to point out about the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund. Do take a look at our website to get more information about this specific program. Can we go to the next slide, please? And so we are helping women entrepreneurs through this COVID-19 period. I know everyone is facing such challenging situations. So to find out what we are doing, what Women's Enterprise Center is doing to help, again, go to our website, womensenterprise.ca, and you can go to the specific link that is on our slide here, wec.ca/COVID-19, and find out the support that we are offering to women entrepreneurs. Wonderful. And now we have the lovely Ashley here. So we are going to be talking about content today. So search engine optimization, SEO, and well-written content don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can have quality writing that simultaneously improves the visibility of your website on Google. So today, award-winning business owner and international best-selling author, Ashley WriterGal Doan, will show us her tricks of the trade to help you write content that appeases the search engine algorithms and is still relevant for your customers. So in this workshop, you will learn the basics of on-page SEO and keywords, how to incorporate SEO keywords into your content marketing strategy, how repurposing your content is easy, efficient, and a great way to boost your Google ranking. And you're going to walk away from this workshop with the confidence to create content that will boost your Google ranking, educate your customers, and ultimately grow your business. And I want to talk a little bit about Ashley now, our wonderful panelist. She inspires entrepreneurs to action through humor and authenticity. Through her business, WriterGal Marketing, she helps entrepreneurs use content marketing to become trusted niche experts. Her specialties include writing blog articles, SEO web content, and social media posts. Ashley is also an award-winning business owner, international best-selling author, and acclaimed speaker, and she is the host of the Content Marketing Matters podcast and blog. She's the mother of crazy toddlers and has a crazy addiction to coffee. I do have that addiction to coffee also, Ashley, so we share that. So invite Ashley for a coffee today at WriterGal.ca. So without taking any more time, I know Ashley has a lot of valuable information. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ashley, now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. It is a sunny day. I'm in Maple Ridge, and it's going to be a hot day. So let's get started. We've got so much to cover, and we only have, less than an hour together. So I'm going to cover as much as I can. Make sure you have that pen and paper ready to go, because I'm going to give you some great tips, some great resources, some great links, and you're going to want to write all of this stuff down. So let's get started. So you've probably had someone come to you and say, you need to optimize your website for Google. You've probably also had someone say, but you need to write content for your customers, what they want. Well, I'm here today to show you how to do both, and how to do both in a way that's not spammy, in a way that is authentic, in a way that is true, because it is possible to appease the Google gods and your customers at the exact same time. So I'm going to go over this today in some high-level details so that you can get started right away. And at the end, if you're ready for a little more support to help customize what we've talked about today for your business, I'm going to share how you can book a session with me to go one-on-one and talk about all of this as it relates to your specific business. So let's dive in. So let me take a brief step back before we go into how content works. Your goal as an online business, or the online presence of your business, is to get people to know, like, and trust you. Once you get them to know you exist, they like you because you're putting out all this great content. You seem to be everywhere online, and they start to trust you because they see that you're everywhere. They see you sharing your knowledge about your niche, about your industry. Once you have this magical combination, that is when you'll get a conversion, someone to sign up for something, someone to buy, someone to be your supporter. So through Google and through your customers, writing for both of those audiences, that will appease all three of these, and that is what you want. So when we're talking about balancing Google's needs and your customers' needs, Google wants a different set of things than your customers want. So I want to briefly, very high level, explain what Google wants and what your customers want. Google wants you to be everywhere online, not just have a website. It wants you to have a website, a social media presence, a download over here, a blog over here. It also wants your content to be relevant. This is a fairly new development. When Google started with its algorithms, it was basically, if your keyword is on the page, we'll rank you. But now it's getting smart, these AI algorithms, to know that you can't just throw in your word on the page, and I'll show you how to do that properly today. It wants to make sure that it's relevant, that it actually is relevant for your customers. It wants you to be technical. It wants you to follow Google's rules. And I got a great little graphic to show you what Google's rules are. And it ultimately wants you to be an authority in what you are talking about in your niche. Google is going to show sites that it deems an authority, an expert in its field, higher up on Google rankings. So today I'm going to show you how to be that authority. But you also need to appease your customers. And your customers want you to be knowledgeable in what you do. It wants you to give them the information that they need when they want it. So it wants you to be timely in how you're communicating. It wants it to be easy to consume, like easy to read, understand. And your customers just want you to be human. You could do technical Google SEO perfectly, but it won't sound human. It will sound forced. It will sound odd. So today I'm going to show you how to put all of these together so that you can have that balance between what your customers want and what Google wants. So the purpose of doing content marketing, of doing blogs, of doing social media, of doing downloads, emails, newsletters, all of these things is to show your expertise, because that's what Google wants and that's what your customers want. It's a great way to attract new followers, because when you are putting out all of this content, you are engaging people that may not have seen you before. You're growing your audience, the fans of your business. We all want those fans of our business. It's amazing. It's also important to engage your existing followers. You know, we've all seen those social media accounts that just post, but they never comment on other people's comments of their posts. So it's all really about engaging. And ultimately, it's to grow your business. I mean, this content marketing, I could talk literally for a whole day, and I do full day workshops on how to do content marketing, SEO, newsletters, blogs. But I'm going to put as much as I can into this one little hour. So here is what we're going to talk about in this 1 hour. I'm going to give you a high-level deep dive into how Google thinks. We want to know how they think so we can influence what they show up on Google, or what shows up on Google. I'm going to give you, again, high-level how to pick keywords for your business. I'm sure that's why a lot of you are here today, to know how to pick those keywords. How do those big marketing agencies do it? But how can I do it without hiring a big marketing agency? How can I do a little bit myself? Then once you've picked your keywords, how the heck do you use them? Coming up with a keyword is only part. You need to know how to use them, where to use them, and how to use them in a way that appeases both Google and your customers. We'll do a very brief talk about how to brainstorm content ideas using both SEO and what your customers want. And I'll very briefly talk about how to repurpose some of your content so you can produce more, but not spend more time producing it. And I'll explain why that's all important as we go through. Okay, let's get into the mind of Google. Before I go into this, let me preface this by saying we don't really know every little thing that Google does. We don't know all the details of their algorithm. We know a lot, and we can take guesses at what some of them are, but Google keeps that algorithm pretty under wraps. So you've heard us talk about these words, SEO and keywords. Well, what the heck are these words? Let me define these first before we go into how to use them. So SEO is search engine optimization. And the way I like to describe this is between search engine optimization and keywords is taking an educated guess at what you think people are searching for in Google to find your content. When it comes to how you modify your website and your content, there's two sides of it. Now I'm only going to focus on one today. There's the off-page stuff, which is the back end, the coding. I'm going to say the geeky stuff that most of us are never going to touch in our lifetime. That's when we hire those web designers. There's a bunch of features in there that help show us where the rankings are going to go. But the on-page SEO, that is how you write your content, how you design your pages, how you present your content. That is what we're going to focus on today, because that is my area of expertise. So I actually found, this is a new slide I've never used before. I just found this chart and I really like it. It says that 90% of pages get no organic search traffic from Google. 90% of 1 billion pages in this study never get any hits from Google to their website, which is kind of surprising because it's not that difficult to incorporate keywords to get hits. So there's a huge opportunity for you to jump in and start ranking, because 90% of pages out there on the internet are just sitting there. They're not getting traffic from Google. They're not getting new customers. This is another really great graphic. If you want to learn more about the technical side of SEO, go to this website, Moz. I think it's Moz SEO or something like that. And you can get more detailed. But this is what all the ranking factors that Google uses to decide who's going to be first and who's going to be 526th on the search results. There's a lot of stuff in here. A lot of it is not going to make sense to you. That's fine. These 4 areas I've highlighted, these are the ones that you can control on your own without needing web developers or any other back-end things. It's things like having social media accounts, having followers, having retweets, having shares. Google can tell that about your business. It's smart. So the more followers you have, the more quality links you're posting, that will help your Google ranking. Also, things like the content length, how readable your content is, how unique it is, that makes a huge difference as well. You don't want to be posting the same article in a million different sites because then it's not unique anymore. For example, you don't want to be writing a page that's 10,000 words. 300 to 500 is sort of the average minimum, up to, for big pages, maybe 1,000, 2,000 words. So the content length matters. Page link features, so things like the number of links you have on your page, going to other sites, your sites, all of these things that you can control within the text of your page. So we're going to talk about a little bit of these today, but this is a really great chart. And interestingly enough, if you look at it, the ones that I've highlighted, the content focused ones, that's about half of what Google uses. So don't expect that tomorrow, if you optimize one of your pages, that it's going to immediately get you to number 1. There are a lot of factors in play. So today I'm just going to give you the ones that you can control, that you have influence over. So let's go over the basics of how to come up with keywords. What are keywords? What are good keywords? All of those. So here are, if you are, whatever your business is, you are that expert, right? What I want you to do, not today, but make a note to do this later, is make topic buckets. So make lists of keywords related to your business. So for my business, for example, I do content marketing, copywriting, blogging, I teach, I do writing for you, all of this stuff. So I'm going to go in and write buckets. I'm going to say blogging is a bucket. Social media is a bucket. Website content writing is another bucket. So write these buckets. They could be products, services, anything like that. Then I want you to fill these buckets with additional keywords or specialties within them. So for my business, if I was doing a blogging bucket, underneath that, I might write copywriting blog or blog copywriting, blog editing, blog SEO. Just think of things, just brainstorm words. They don't have to be anything special. They don't have to be long, just brainstorm. And once you have these words, you're going to put them into some of the tools I'm going to show you today to see how good they are from an SEO perspective. Another thing I want you to think about as you're creating content is content for your website, that is what is the intent of that page? What is the user intent? And I'm going to go into this in a little more detail in the beginning, in the next page, but there's four reasons people will do a search. It'll either be informational, navigational, transactional, or commercial. And I've got a graphic I'll show you in just a moment about explaining that in a little more detail. But knowing the intent of your page will help you pick the right keywords. And I'll show you what I mean for in a moment. The next 4 things I'm going to put on here, I want you to write these down because this is how you're going to evaluate if the keywords that you're picking as we go through this process are good for you. Ranking difficulty. The tools I'm going to share with you are going to give you a ranking difficulty of probably high, medium, or low. So for example, if you're trying to rank for the word blogging or life coach, let's say life coach, that could be pretty hard to rank for, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So the ranking difficulty of the keyword is important. How much potential traffic that keyword could give you. You could rank for any phrase on earth. You could do it perfectly, include it in all the spots you want, but if no one is actually searching for that phrase, it's kind of a waste. So I'll show you in the tools where this makes sense in a moment again. Once you've picked the keyword, you need to figure out what kind of content is actually needed. What kind of content do you need to rank for this keyword? So if the keyword is buy opal jewelry, what kind of content do you need to create for that? You may not want to create a what is opal jewelry kind of page because that doesn't make sense. If someone's searching for buy opal jewelry, they're going to be looking for like a product page or product specs. So think about that. And the searches that people would be doing for these keywords, are they potential customers? Or are they people that are just looking for that informational, that background? So write these lists down, maybe take a screenshot of these questions if you don't want to write them down, because you're going to use these as you evaluate the keywords that we go through in the next couple slides. So the user intent, that is important for picking the right keywords. And I mentioned that there were 4 reasons people will do a search, aside from just browsing TikTok and just looking for random things to look at for 2 hours. Informational, that search is like, how many calories are in an apple? How many words should my blog post be? The purpose of these searches is for the consumer is just to learn. They just want to learn information. They're not really looking to buy or to get your services or anything like that. They just want information. So these are the kind of keyword phrases you will choose for something like this. Commercial. They're looking to potentially buy something, but they don't know who. They're kind of comparison shopping. So best drone cameras, Star Wars posters. They're just kind of looking around. Navigational. That's if, I don't know if anyone's ever done this, or maybe it's just me. I go into Google and I type in Facebook to get to the Facebook link. I don't know why, or I'll type in Nike or Lululemon or Science World or whatever it is. I'm looking for someone's specific website. And as you get more known, as you become that expert in your niche, people are going to be looking for that kind of content. So make sure that you're optimizing for things like your company name, for example. And finally, I think I hinted at this earlier, there's those transactional posts. People are like ready to buy, or they're like this close. They're just comparing 2 people, car insurance quotes, buy groceries online, New York to LA flights. It's those kind of, they're ready to buy. So these kind of pages, you would probably link to a product page or something really, really deep where they only have one more click to buy. So any content you create online, when you're optimizing it, think about which of these 4 buckets it kind of falls into. That way you'll know how to pick the right keyword. Now, how do you pick the right keyword? So I mentioned there was all those things to look for, those 4 things to evaluate. Let's take the word Vancouver copywriter, for example. This is a screenshot from Google Keyword Planner. Keywords, I think they changed the name of it recently. But it will tell you, and a lot of these other tools I'm going to show you too, the average monthly searches. So what it does is it takes the searches from the whole year and then just divides it by 12, and it gives you an approximation of how many searches you get in Google for this. So for a Vancouver copywriter, it's saying there's an average of 100 to 1,000 monthly searches for that keyword. Half of them are probably me Googling myself, but it's a great indication of how much traffic you could get. Now, it's going to be totally fine to rank for, 100 to 1,000. That's a good range for, most of us on this call. If it said like 100,000 to 1 million, that sounds great, but there's probably going to be higher competition for that keyword. So in this case, Google Keyword Planner has said there's probably about a medium level of competition. Oh, you know what? I just realized I forgot to do that quick little poll at the beginning. Do we have time to quickly pop that poll up right now? Sorry, guys, I forgot to do that. There we go. Just so I can kind of gauge where everyone's at. I meant to do this in the beginning. Apologies. Tell me what your comfort level is writing online content right now, or what it was 20 minutes ago before we started. So if you could just quickly put that in there, and then we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Let's move this over here. Okay, thank you. So the competition for that kind of keyword is medium, which I would say is I would go for low or medium keywords. If it was high, they're very branded keywords. There's a lot of the big wigs that are trying to rank for those keywords, and they're going to rank for those keywords because they're doing all the back end stuff right. They've had their domain name for a long time, all of these factors. So when any of us on here are picking keywords, definitely go for maybe a low or medium competition. And, anything up to 1K, 10K would probably be a good starting ground until you become more established. Perfect. So what's your comfort level? A couple people said high. That's awesome. I love that. Most of you, about half of you, about medium, which is good. That's kind of what I expected. 34 low. Perfect. So let's see if I'm going to ask you this question again at the end. And let's see if we can kind of raise that up just a little bit. And if not, I'm here to help. Okay, thank you. Thank you for redoing that poll. Okay, so these are the kind of things when you put your keywords into these tools, it will tell you all these things. So look for a good average monthly search and maybe a low to medium competition to get started. And whoops, too fast. Okay, so here's a great way to find Google keywords. Use Google. Use the Google search bar. So if you are a life coach or a business coach, start typing in something like business coach versus. All of these phrases that show up underneath in that autocomplete, auto-suggest box, all of these would probably make great keywords because they are what people are searching for. I don't know if you know this, but these dropdowns are actually what people are searching for in Google. Google is using all of its algorithms and says, oh, if someone's searching for business coach versus, they're likely searching for one of these phrases. So pick one of these phrases. So business coach versus life coach. That would be a great blog post. That could be a great page on your website so people can understand the difference. I'm a life coach as well. And there is a difference between a business coach and a life coach, completely different things. So you can educate your customers because they're searching for that word. If you're in the jewelry business, taking care of the jewelry that you create is something that people are going to be looking for. So you could type in caring for jewelry and it comes up with all these suggestions. So write a blog post, write a page on your website about caring for opal jewelry, caring for jade jewelry, all of these things. So this is a great first place to go to start brainstorming ideas and keywords for your business. Another one is a great tool, keywordtool.io. When you go to this website, you type in a word related to your industry. So in this case, it was feng shui. And you got all of these different ideas for keywords. They're perfect, bedroom, house, Animal Crossing. I don't quite get that one, but, use these, create pages, create content based on these. If you're in the travel advisory, travel within Canada, travel restrictions, I think honestly, I took this screenshot maybe a year ago or a year and a half ago, and some of these are still relevant now, especially now. So these are what people are searching for in Google, in search engines. So use these keywords. When you're picking a keyword for your homepage, maybe keep it a little more general. So if you were in, let's say in feng shui and you had a homepage, maybe, feng shui house might be a great one because it's kind of general and overarching. And then if you have bracelets, perhaps you could do the feng shui bracelets as another page, optimizing for that keyword. Here's another great tool, app.wordstream.com/FKT/app. Just take a screenshot of that if you want that. And again, you put in one very simple keyword, one of those buckets that we talked about, or one of the specifics underneath those buckets, and it comes up with all of these great tools. This tool gives you the search volume. So that's the average monthly searches you might get. The competition, high, low, medium. This one also gives you the CPC, which is your cost per click. So if you were to be doing a Google ad, this is what the tool estimates you would probably pay per click. It's an estimation, but it gives you an idea. So in this scenario, weightlifting for women has 1,000 searches a month, which on its own would seem pretty good. I could rank for that if I was a fitness business. Cost per click, 80 cents. That seems pretty good, but there's high competition. So that means that all of the big, workouts and trainers, they're probably using that keyword and they're probably going to be doing it better than we can because they've got the resources, the back end stuff. So maybe that wouldn't be a good one for me, who's had my business for a couple of years, to rank for. However, if you look at, say, the next one, weight workouts, it has the same search volume, a lower cost per click, but the competition is lower. So you have a higher chance of ranking for that keyword if you tried that. Another one that I also use for generating blog posts is answerthepublic.com. Again, type in a keyword, it gives you all of these great ideas. So check that out. Now, once you've picked a keyword phrase, it can sound very spammy if you're using that exact same phrase 50 times, like 4 or 5 times on the page. It's going to start looking odd. So you can use something called latent semantic indexing, which I hate saying. It sounds weird. Just say LSI. It's basically related words and terms that are commonly used in the same scenarios. So for example, if you're writing a page about marketing or online marketing, you would commonly find the words marketing, SEO, content optimization online on that page. So in addition to doing your keyword phrase a couple times on the page, and I'll show you that in a moment, also include words like SEO a couple times throughout, content, optimization online. That's how Google figures out that you're not just trying to play the algorithm by throwing in your keyword a few times. You are also writing content that is relevant because Google has determined that all of these words are commonly used together. If you run a coffee shop, first, please let me know because I do love my coffee. But if you run a coffee shop or a cafe, these are the kind of words that you'd use together. So use those on the page. Here's a visual example that I found yesterday. I threw in here as well. If you're writing a page about cold brew coffee, use all of these kinds of words throughout the page too. It's just another way to make it relevant and not make it too spammy by just saying cold brew coffee. Come get your cold brew coffee from us. We have the best cold brew coffee around because your cold brew coffee needs to come from us. That starts to get overwhelming. So look at what related terms there would be. And a great way to come up with what these related terms are is to use that Google autocomplete or do a search for LSI keyword search or LSI generator or something like that, and find some free tools out there that will help you and tell you what keywords to use. Okay, so let's say you've picked a keyword. You don't know if it's good. You need to test it out. You need to put it on your page, let it sit there for a while, let Google pick it up and see how it performs. If it doesn't perform, it doesn't seem to work after a while, you can switch out the keywords. That is totally an acceptable practice. But here is where you want to put it on your page. So this is what comes up when you search for my business on Google. This is what Google shows. Where I want you to put your keyword for your blog post, your website page, the first place is in the meta title. That's often the main heading on your page. You may also have a spot where on your page you can actually specify the meta title and meta description, and that's what will show up in Google. So I highly recommend customize those if the default that your website stuff doesn't, if the default is something else, customize it to make sure that the keyword for that page that you've chosen for that page is in there. As early as possible in the heading, ideally. If I were to change this, I would probably change it to Vancouver copywriter, WriterGal marketing services, because it's just every little bit helps. So throw it in the meta title, the meta description naturally, like I have here, a full sentence. Then when you're writing your page content or your blog, so here's an example of a blog post. And for this page, I was trying to rank for the word repurposing content, which we're going to talk about in the last section today as well. You want to include that phrase that you've picked in your page title, which is probably your heading 1 style on the page. In the body text, now this is very important, 2%, no more than 2%. So if you're writing a 500-word blog post, that's really only 4 times that you need to include it in the text. It's not a lot. And if you want to see how much it is, if you don't have a plugin on your website for that to see what that percentage is, copy and paste your text into some free tools on Google. Search for keyword density tool or keyword density tracker. And it will tell you how often you've used that keyword. So use it in the body text, headers, bold, as hyperlinks, just within the text, in bullets, all of these places, but no more than about 2%. If you do much more, Google is going to say, you're trying just a little bit too hard and might not rank you as high. And the last place to put it is in the alt text of an image. So when you upload your images next time you're in your website, check and see if you have that option to customize this alt text. That's the little bit of text that will show up if your image doesn't show up. And it's one of the places that Google looks for your keyword. So I wanted to throw this in because this really, when you're writing online, is different than when you're writing for, a brochure or something physical. And it goes to writing content that is easily digestible. So I'm just going to put all of these up here. I'll quickly talk through these. Writing online should be shorter sentences and paragraphs because no one wants to read big, long paragraphs of text. It's hard on your phone. It's hard everywhere. Don't be afraid to use bullets and lists if you're listing more than 3 things, or if you're listing 3 things. People like that scannability of being able to look at that. Use a lot of subheadings. After a paragraph or 2, have another, like a heading 2 style or a heading 3. Google likes that, and your customers like that because it makes it really easy to read. When you're writing online, plain language. You don't need to repeat yourself. I'm repeating myself a lot as I'm talking today, but online, people can easily go back and read things. So repetition is just a waste of space. And on any page you're writing, always do the inverted pyramid style of writing, which is the most important information up top. And then the rest gets very granular and very specific. So from a usability perspective, if someone just reads the beginning, they've gotten a high level overview of what you're trying to say. Then if they do want more detail, they'll keep on going down. So keep this in mind when you're writing anything online, website pages, blog posts, even, PDFs that are meant to be read online that aren't meant to be downloaded. This is exactly what you want to do. So once you might want to try doing this a different way. So I showed you how to find keywords first and then to create content for those keywords. But what if you want to kind of do it the other way around? There's some other things to do for that. So first, of course, you could take your keywords and then create content to make those keywords work for you. So you could take fitness training for women and turn that into something. Or you can go at it the other way. Think about what questions people are asking when they come to your business. So are they going to be asking, what do I need to bring to an online fitness class? How do I buy essential oils? Why should I hire a business coach instead of a life coach? What are the best ways to grow my business in BC? Think about these kind of questions, put them in Google and see if there are results. If there are, you can create content based on these kind of questions. And your blog post, your website would be, what are the best ways to, how to do this? So think about it that way. Another great thing, whenever we have questions, we go to Google. We do that all the time. We type in those questions. And I'm sure for your business, you have those questions people are asking all the time. If you have those questions, turn them into a blog post. See which of those brainstormed keywords fit and use that as your keyword for that frequently asked question that's a blog post or a PDF or something like that. You can also do some friendly stalking. See what other people are writing about. Start typing in keywords related to your business that we talked about and start clicking on some of those links. What are they talking about? What are they writing about? What words does it look like they're trying to rank for? After a while, you'll start to see, it'll be obvious to you because you're looking for it, what keywords people are trying to rank for, which is, it's kind of weird. You won't look at website content the same way anymore. You'll be looking to see, okay, what word are they optimizing for? But see what people are writing about. Write about the same thing, put your own spin on it. Don't copy, don't plagiarize, and then see which of your keywords you could use in that post to optimize it for. You could also ask people, ask your customers, what kind of content do you want? What do you need to know? That's a great way to come up with content and then find those keywords from those buckets and put them in there. Excuse me. You could also plan around themes. So take those high level buckets, write one blog post about very high level about that bucket, and then little sub posts or smaller posts about each of the little words underneath that bucket. So if you were in HR, you could write a bucket. You might have a bucket about resumes, about CVs. You write an article about CVs optimized for the phrase, how to write a CV. And then you write other articles about the different sections of your resume and optimize those for those different keywords that are underneath that bucket. There are lots of ways to kind of go both. You know, you can go from, so you can plan your content based on keywords first. So from the Google side first or from the customer side. And all you got to do is just pick and choose what makes sense. But the first step is always going to be the keywords and then just figuring out how it all fits together. It's like a little puzzle. You know, once you get it, it's going to be really, really easy. Once you have that list, it's really easy. But if you remember in the beginning, one of the things that I said Google likes is that you have a lot of content out there. And I'm going to very briefly go over this because this is like a 45-minute lesson in itself that I'm going to condense down to just a couple slides for you. The best way to create a lot of content online is to create one really good piece of content. So a really good blog post, for example, a really good informational web page, and repurpose that in different ways, in different formats, so that when someone searches for business coach versus life coach, they're going to come up with your blog post, your slide deck that you've uploaded to SlideShare, your download. And what's really great about this is, so you know how Google will show you about 10 search results. It could be 10 different companies, but what if your company or your business had 3 or 4 of those links up there? That's going to look like an authority. People are going to say, oh, well, this person has three links for this search. Well, I got to go check them out, and they'll check out one of those 3 links. So it's really great. So why should you do this? I just mentioned, you know, it can get you a higher Google ranking, or it can help you rank more content on Google. It's another great way to get more email subscribers because you could turn a great blog post into a PDF download that people, it's called a lead magnet, that people have to give you their email address to download. So it's a great way to create those without creating new content. You just reuse something that you have. When you have more content out there in different formats, you know, audio, visual, written, you can get more customers because not everybody wants to be on TikTok for 10 hours looking at stuff. Some people just want to read something. Someone wants to listen to a podcast in the car. So you can create all this content, all these different formats, and attract more people in their preferred learning style. And it also makes you more productive because you could be creating 10 different topics, 10 different pieces, and that takes forever to brainstorm the idea, come up with the keywords, create 10 different pieces of content. Or you pick one keyword, write one really good piece of content, create one really great video, and take different pieces of it and repurpose it. So let me show you a very basic example of what repurposing could mean. So you write a blog post, maybe it's one of your FAQs, maybe it's something that you found one of your competitors writing about. You've optimized it for your keyword that you've chosen. Then I want you to share it on social media. Share a link to that blog post, you know, a couple times, once today, once in a couple weeks, maybe in 3 months from now, you can post it again, and make sure that those social media posts also include that keyword phrase. And include it in your newsletter. You know, perhaps your newsletters are archived on your website. That's searchable by Google too. So make sure that in your newsletter, when you're writing that little blurb, that little teaser, that you're using that keyword there too. Now I've talked a million miles a minute, and there's so much more. There's so much to learn. You know, there's full courses, 3 or 4 hour courses on SEO. I tried to cover at least the high level so that you can get started. You can start playing with it. So if we can quickly put up that last poll right now while I go over our top takeaways, let me know how you're feeling. If you're still feeling a little bit overwhelmed, if you're feeling a little bit better, or if you're like, I'm just about the same, I just need to digest this a little bit, watch the replay, whatever that might be. While we're doing that quick poll, let's go over the top takeaways I want you to come back with today. The first one is to really make sure that you are matching the keyword with content that people are craving. Whether you are creating content based on the keyword, or you're looking at what people need and then finding the keyword to match. Make sure that you are, matching it. It's like that game where you have a line along here of words and the pictures here, and you kind of have to match them up. My kids do that all the time as they're learning their letters. A to apple, B to bear, same thing. Match those keywords to what you've done. Oh, 62% of you are more confident. I like that. 24% about the same. Okay, digest this and you will get there. I still need help. Don't worry. I'll give you an opportunity to tell you where you can get some more help in just a moment. The next thing is don't forget about those LSI keywords and those related keywords. It's called keyword stuffing. If you use that same phrase 50 times on a page, it's not natural. It's hard to read. It's ugly. It's spammy. So instead, use your keyword, the 2%, and then throw in those other related words once or twice on the page. Make it relevant. Use those words. And finally, repurpose the content that you are creating so you have more content for Google to grab and to show up in search results. So if you follow the steps that I've shown you today, you can definitely get a good start on finding keywords. You don't need to go to an agency yet. If you want more detailed, I highly recommend getting an agency to help you. But for just optimizing your blog posts, you can do this yourself. And when you do this, you're going to get more content on Google. You're going to get more, I'm going to say random people finding you on Google, coming to your website, getting to know you, getting to trust you, and eventually buying from you. So you don't have to be selling all the time, because selling is I don't like selling. It's hard. So if you're doing this, it's more organic, it's more natural. And like I said, I've covered the high level and my million miles a minute talking, but there is more to learn and there's more to customize. I'd love to pop on a call with you if anybody wants to and go through this together. We'll go through the tools together. So I've put together this package if you want to get that one-on-one support to start creating your content SEO strategy, just a high level of how that fits together and what that looks like for your business, because it looks different for everyone's business. So I've created just for WEC today, the Caffeinate Your Content Strategy. I told you I like my coffee, especially this iced coffee here in the picture. It's so good. So what you get with this strategy call is 30 minutes, just really quick. We can book additional calls if you want to go more in depth, but I will give you the start. I will show you these tools and how you can start using them. You can use the strategy call to ask me questions about your content marketing, your strategy, or about how to do that SEO research yourself, and we can do that together. As a bonus, anyone that books their consultation before midnight tonight, so to thank everyone that took the time on this beautiful Monday morning to be here, I want to thank you for your commitment. And after the strategy call, if you decide you want to join some of my programs or one-on-one support or copywriting, I will give you $50 off your first month for anybody that books tonight. And I've only got 5 spots because it's a pretty good deal. And I got my clients I got to do as well. So if you want to book this, it is $37. And you get half an hour with me, private one-on-one Zoom. My kids might come in, so it might not be too private, but just you and me, and we will talk about your SEO. We will talk about your content. And I've only got 5 spots. So this is the link that you want to visit. Get that quickly. If you go to the link and the link is dead and it's not working anymore, it's because the spots are all sold out. So do jump on that if you are at all interested in getting that one-on-one support to go through what we talked about today. but we do still have 9 minutes. I stayed right on schedule. So we do have some time to answer some specific questions that you might have today. So what have we got? What can we talk about?
So actually, I saw one question in the chat when you were talking about keywords. The question from a participant, Kirti. What about the food business like ice cream?
What about the food business? Oh,
like
now
ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream. Well, I wouldn't suggest trying to optimize for the word ice cream, because Ben and Jerry's probably has the monopoly on that phrase. It would depend on what kind of business you have. So let's say you specialized in a certain type of ice cream. Maybe you want to optimize for that. Maybe you want to optimize for homemade ice cream, Vancouver, or wherever it is you're from. Be a little more specific, because that very general term will be hard to rank for. Make it a little bit specific, maybe add your city at the end, maybe add, if you're a mom and pop shop, or you're on the boardwalk or something. Just try to niche that keyword just a tiny bit. And I think you could have a lot more success with that.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, there is another one, the 2 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
So there is another question from a participant, Catherine. I'm guessing keywording alt text on images is the way to go for image heavy content.
Yes. Image heavy content is harder. I won't say hard, is harder to rank, because Google really wants written content. It can read the written content easier. But, definitely if you have a very graphics intensive page for whatever reason, maybe you have a lot of infographics or diagrams, and that is a better way to portray what you're trying to talk about than text. Definitely make sure you've got that keyword in there and put it in a sentence, just in case the image doesn't show up. If you were a, what's another industry here I can think of? Let's say you sell essential oils. You can have a picture of a bottle of, what have I got here? Grapefruit. I got grapefruit essential oil here. You could write grapefruit essential oil for something and put that as the alt text, not just the keyword. Just put it in a nice little sentence, just in case it ever shows up. And you can kind of make it a little more usable like that. But definitely, if you have more image heavy content, throw in your keyword in a couple of those images at least. And that'll do a little bit, but always make sure you've got an H1 on that page and a little bit of text if you can.
Thanks, Ashley. And I think we have time for maybe one more question.
Yeah.
And we will follow up with you if there are more questions, Ashley. So there is one question here. Does SEO take into account your location, or do you need to mention your location in your content?
That's a good question. I didn't even talk about local searches, and yes and no. With a lot of searches, Google knows where you are. Google knows everything about us. It's actually kind of creepy sometimes when you can see what they know about us. But, if you're out and about on the street and you go into, say, Google Maps and you type in ice cream, for example, it's likely if you type in just the word ice cream, it's likely to show up the ice cream shop that's, around the corner, because it knows that geolocation based on, if you're using maps. For just straight Google searches, it does play a little bit of a role. So if I were to type in local copywriter or local blogging copywriter, if I'm sitting here in my house in Maple Ridge, I will likely get BC based stuff. But if I was down in Florida, I wish I was down in Florida, vacations, it would likely show me where more local searches. So yes, location is important. You don't have to use that as your keyword phrase, but just think about it. Think about what people would search if they're looking for your business. Are they just going to be searching for something general, or do they want somebody that is in Vancouver, that is in Kelowna, that is in Salmon Arm? And if you think that's what people are going to be searching for, and your research says, yes, there are a lot of people searching for that, throw in that location-based type word.
Wonderful. I'm wondering if we can squeeze in one more question.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Someone just said the link is not working. I will I will double check that link and I will get it up in the next 10 minutes. I promise, if it's not working right now, or send me an email for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I do see a few questions. I'm Ashley here. And so we will follow up with you
yes.
Regarding that. And I'm wondering if I can just squeeze in one quick question for a quick response from you.
Yes.
Hi, Ashley. Could I sign up for your 30-minute Zoom today, but schedule it a month later?
Yes.
After a month or later.
Yes. You have until, I think I said the end of July to book it. If you need something a little bit later, just shoot me off a quick email and I will let you book that. And I'm going to quickly check that link because sometimes the link seems to be working for me.
Wonderful.
So just double check that. If the link is not working, please send me an email. I will put my email in the chat. It was on that last slide.
That'll be great. Yeah, just put it on that, your email ID also there, Ashley. That'll be great. Because I'm sure there are a couple of questions there, and I'm sure after the session, people will have more questions.
Yes, for sure.
So if you can put it there. And so are there any more slides, Ashley? We
are good.
Oh,
we are wonderful. On time.
Wonderful. Then I can talk very briefly about what's coming up at Women's Enterprise Center. So we do have some wonderful webinars coming up. So there is one on doing business with the Government of Canada, bidding on opportunities with the Government of Canada, which is happening this week, June 24. We are doing a series of webinars, and I'm excited to be part of it, on export. Beginner's Guide to Exporting. So for those of you who are kind of exploring growth strategies, this will be a good starting point. And we have 2 wonderful panelists there. And then we are doing another series on financial fitness. What we want to do before we wrap up, we are going to launch a quick poll to hear from you what you think about this webinar. Wonderful. Ashley, are you able to see this one? It's such great feedback. Wow.
Perfect. I did put the direct link to the offer and my email address in the chat. So please grab that before you pop off today if anyone needs to get in touch. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah. And so we are almost at the end of our session. I'm looking at the poll and, 100% say, yeah, they'll be able to apply what they learned in this webinar. So that's such great feedback. So we are almost at the end of our session, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Be sure to sign up for Women's Enterprise Center newsletter on our website to stay informed about our services. And I want to give a special shout out to Ashley on behalf of all participants. You have provided such excellent content, Ashley, and I have learned a lot and answers to our audience questions also. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for participating. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.